He was carried to heaven by a chariot of fire. The prophet Elijah. Bible stories. In the parched and barren land of Gilead, beneath the blazing heat of the sun, a man rose who was fated to be one of the most renowned prophets ever known. Even now, Elijah the Tishbite requires no documented records for his name to be widely known. His life echoes more powerfully than the deeds of countless rulers. During the 9th century BC, Elijah emerged as a shining example of truth, confronting monarchs and rekindling belief in a nation shrouded in spiritual darkness. His significance within God's plan was undeniable, as prophesied in Malachi 4:5. "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord." This divine promise resonated deeply with those who anticipated the arrival of God's messenger. Elijah's sudden appearance, veiled in secrecy, only added to his mystique. While Scripture identifies his birthplace as Gilead, details about his lineage and upbringing remain scant, further fueling fascination with this enigmatic figure. If exploring the profound teachings of the Bible, like the story of Elijah, appeals to you, we encourage you to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to activate notifications so you won't miss our upcoming video. Elijah the Tishbite stands out in the Old Testament as a prophet of immense faith and unwavering courage. He fearlessly confronted wicked kings, challenged the enticements of idolatry, and became a vessel for God's miraculous power. But Elijah's life was not merely marked by spiritual strength. His physical resilience and unwavering obedience to God shaped his incredible journey. We first encounter Elijah in 1 Kings 17, where he boldly confronts King Ahab, proclaiming a drought as divine judgment upon Israel's wickedness. This confrontation was not just a war of words, it was a test of physical endurance. After delivering God's message, Elijah outran Ahab's chariot from Mount Carmel to Jezreel, a distance of over 16 miles, showcasing extraordinary stamina. Following this display of strength, Elijah, guided by God, sought refuge by the brook Chariot. There, he witnessed God's miraculous provision as ravens, creatures not known for their generosity, brought him food. This event emphasized Elijah's dependence on God and his trust in divine provision, even in the most unexpected ways. When the brook dried up, signifying a deepening of the drought and a new phase in Elijah's journey, God directed him to Zarephath, a town outside Israel. There, he encountered a destitute widow and her son, who were on the verge of starvation. It was here that Elijah performed one of his most famous miracles, as described in Luke 4:26. Through his unwavering faith, he enabled the widow's meager supply of flour and oil to last throughout the famine, demonstrating God's miraculous provision and highlighting the far-reaching impact of obedience to God. The event resonated beyond its immediate context, becoming a testament to God's power to sustain his people in the direst of circumstances. Even as he performed these extraordinary miracles, Elijah remained a humble servant. This echoes the parable of the faithful servant in Luke 17:8-10, emphasizing that true faith lies not in seeking recognition, but in serving God wholeheartedly. Elijah's life embodied this principle. He never sought personal glory, but remained focused on fulfilling God's will. Elijah's journey wasn't a comfortable existence. He faced persecution, fled for his life, and experienced moments of doubt and despair. Yet through every trial, God remained faithful, providing sustenance, protection, and guidance. From the solitude of the wilderness to the dramatic showdown with the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel, where God sent fire from heaven, Elijah's unwavering faith never wavered. While Scripture often portrays Elijah as a solitary figure, his encounters with individuals facing desperation and doubt reveal the depth of his compassion and his role as a conduit for God's grace. The Gospel of Luke recounts a poignant encounter between Jesus and 10 lepers who plead for healing. Jesus, recognizing their faith, instructs them to present themselves to the priests, the customary act to confirm their restored health. Among those healed is a Samaritan, a foreigner, who upon realizing his healing glorifies God and expresses gratitude to Jesus. This act of faith, transcending cultural and religious barriers, resonates deeply with Elijah's own ministry. Both men, though separated by centuries, embodied God's boundless compassion and willingness to extend grace to all who seek Him, regardless of their background. Upon arriving in Zarephath, a town outside his homeland, Elijah encountered a widow and her son struggling to survive a devastating famine. This encounter wasn't merely coincidental. It was divinely orchestrated to test and deepen both Elijah's faith and the widow. Elijah, guided by God, requested a piece of bread, promising that their meager supplies would miraculously last until the drought ended. This bold request challenged the widow's perception of scarcity and forced her to confront her trust in God's provision. Tragedy struck when the widow's son fell deathly ill. The woman, consumed by grief and desperation, confronted Elijah, her words echoing the raw anguish of a mother facing the unimaginable. Elijah, moved by compassion and unwavering faith, took the boy, stretched himself over him in prayer, and cried out to God. The room fell silent, and then a miracle unfolded. The room fell silent. This powerful resurrection served as a turning point, reaffirming Elijah's divine calling and deepening the widow's faith. It underscored God's ability to work through His servants, even in seemingly hopeless situations. The widow, once skeptical, recognized Elijah as a true prophet, his life a testament to the power of aligning with God's will. This encounter, however, was merely one chapter in Elijah's tumultuous life. He would soon face the formidable forces of King Ahab and his idolatrous wife Jezebel. God commanded Elijah to confront Ahab and challenge the widespread worship of Baal, setting the stage for a dramatic showdown on Mount Carmel. Ahab's kingdom was in turmoil, ravaged by the same drought Elijah had prophesied. Obadiah, a devout follower of God and a servant in Ahab's court, secretly sheltered God's prophets, risking his life to preserve their lives from Jezebel's murderous rage. Elijah, aware of Obadiah's loyalty and the dangers that awaited him, courageously embarked on his mission, trusting in God's protection and guidance. From the raven-fed sustenance by the brook Chariot to the miraculous resurrection of the widow's son, each episode in Elijah's life underscores a profound truth. God honors radical faith and rewards unwavering obedience. Elijah's journey was not without its trials and moments of doubt. Still, he persevered, demonstrating that genuine faith requires unwavering dependence on God, even amidst the most formidable storm. His life continues to resonate with believers across centuries, a testament to the enduring power of a life surrendered to God's will. As the land withered under the oppressive drought, Ahab and Obadiah, desperate to salvage their remaining livestock, partitioned the region in a frantic search for grazing land. Ahab journeyed in one direction, Obadiah in another, both clinging to the hope. During his search, Obadiah unexpectedly crossed paths with Elijah. Immediately recognizing the prophet, Obadiah displayed profound respect, yet couldn't suppress his apprehension. Fully aware of Ahab's relentless pursuit of Elijah, he trembled at the potential repercussions of revealing the prophet's whereabouts. Obadiah, a man who had demonstrated unwavering faith since his youth, confessed to Elijah his courageous act of concealing the Lord's prophets, putting his own life in peril to protect them from Jezebel's murderous fury. His devotion to God was resolute, but his fear of Ahab's retaliation was palpable. Elijah, however, confidently assured Obadiah that he would personally appear before Ahab. This declaration signified far more than a mere meeting. It was a bold confrontation of faith, a precursor to a momentous challenge that would unfold on Mount Carmel. Trusting in Elijah's words, Obadiah sought out Ahab and disclosed the prophet's location. Upon confronting Elijah, Ahab unleashed his fury, accusing him of being the source of Israel's affliction. Elijah resolutely countered this accusation, proclaiming that the nation's suffering stemmed directly from their embrace of idolatry and their abandonment of God's commandment. Seeking a definitive resolution, Elijah issued a daring challenge on Mount Carmel. He proposed gathering all of Israel, including the 450 prophets of Baal and 400 prophets of the Zerah, for a decisive test of divine authority. This was a direct call for the people to choose their true allegiance, Yahweh or Baal. On the slopes of Mount Carmel, before a multitude torn between competing faiths, Elijah presented a stark choice: to embrace the one true God or cling to the empty promises of Baal. His words were unambiguous, compelling the Israelites to make a life-altering decision. The test itself was strikingly simple, yet profoundly symbolic. 2 bulls were to be prepared, one for the prophets of Baal, the other for Elijah, but only the true God would ignite the sacrifice with fire from heaven. The gravity of the challenge was undeniable, and the people consented to the test. Elijah instructed Baal's prophets to select their bull and prepare their altar, urging them to beseech their deity to ignite the sacrifice. This pivotal moment was far more than a demonstration of supernatural power. It was a clash between authentic faith and the insidious grip of idolatry that had poisoned Israel's heart. From daybreak until midday, the prophets of Baal frantically implored their God, yet their fervent pleas were met with an eerie silence. As the hours stretched on, their desperation intensified, driving them to engage in increasingly frenzied rituals, even resorting to self-inflicted wounds, hoping to evoke a response from their silent deity. Elijah, witnessing their futile efforts, mocked their desperate pleas, insinuating that Baal might be preoccupied or simply disinclined to respond. The prophets of Baal became increasingly frantic, their desperate cries and self-inflicted lacerations failing to elicit any sign from their God. At that point, Elijah summoned the people to draw near. Before their very eyes, he meticulously reconstructed the Lord's altar, which lay in ruins, a testament to their neglect. He used 12 stones, representing the 12 tribes of Israel, a symbolic gesture affirming their shared heritage and the potential. With deliberate care, he prepared the sacrifice, arranging the wood and the dismembered bull upon the altar. He then instructed the people to drench the altar with water, not once, but 3 times, ensuring the wood and the offering were thoroughly saturated. This act defied all expectations, making the impending miracle even more astounding. In the hushed anticipation, Elijah bowed his head and prayed. His prayer, however, sought more than just a spectacular display of divine power. He implored God to stir the hearts of his people, to draw them back to a place of genuine faith and obedience. Suddenly, the heavens erupted as a torrent of fire descended from the sky, engulfing the offering, consuming the wood, the stones, even the water-soaked earth beneath. Overwhelmed by this awe-inspiring demonstration of divine power, the people fell to their knees in reverent fear, proclaiming with one voice, "The Lord, He is God." Elijah, empowered by God's righteous judgment, commanded the immediate seizure and execution. This decisive act signified the eradication of idolatry's grip and represented a pivotal step towards restoring Israel's commitment to the one true God. With the resounding victory on Mount Carmel echoing across the land, Elijah proclaimed the imminent arrival of rain, an end to the devastating drought. As he departed, Elijah ascended to the summit of Carmel, where he humbled himself before God in prayerful anticipation, awaiting a sign of the promised rain. After 7 futile attempts by his servant to detect any change in the sky, a tiny cloud finally appeared on the This seemingly insignificant formation heralded a dramatic shift, a promise of life-giving rain that would soon break the oppressive drought. As the cloud expanded, the sky transformed into a canvas of swirling gray, unleashing a torrential downpour upon the parched. This dramatic shift in weather was a tangible expression of God's mercy and a testament to his awesome power. However, Elijah's triumphant victory on Mount Carmel would yield unforeseen consequences. Consumed with rage over the humiliating defeat of her prophets, Jezebel issued a death threat against Elijah, compelling him to flee for his life. Disheartened and gripped by fear, Elijah embarked on a solitary journey toward Beersheba in Judah, leaving his faithful servant behind. Utterly spent and overwhelmed by despair, Elijah sought refuge in the desolate wilderness. There, engulfed in solitude, he expressed a profound longing for death, believing he could no longer continue his prophetic mission. In this raw exposure of human frailty, Elijah's vulnerability mirrored our own, reflecting the universal experience of hopelessness and limitations that we all encounter at some point in our lives. In the unforgiving expanse of the desert, utterly depleted and stripped of hope, Elijah found momentary solace in the meager shade of a broom tree. As he grappled with despair, an unexpected messenger arrived. An angel of the Lord appeared, bearing nourishment and a message of comfort. The simple meal of bread, baked on hot stones, and a vessel of refreshing water represented far more than physical sustenance. They were tangible signs of God's unwavering presence and compassionate care. During a subsequent visit, the angel urged Elijah to eat, fortifying him for the arduous journey that lay ahead. Empowered by this divinely provided sustenance, Elijah embarked on a 40-day and 40-night trek to Mount Horeb, the revered mountain of God, a sacred site renowned for divine encounters and profound revelation. Meanwhile, Jezebel, her rage at the demise of her prophets still burning fiercely, remained relentless in her pursuit of Elijah. The prophet, burdened by the weight of his calling and the constant threat of persecution, sought refuge in a secluded cave on Mount Horeb. This sanctuary became a crucible for deep spiritual reflection and profound self-discovery. Within the confines of the cave, God directly addressed Elijah, inquiring about his presence. Elijah poured out his heart, expressing his unwavering zeal for the Lord, but also confessing his overwhelming sense of isolation and despair. This raw and honest exchange with God revealed the depth of Elijah's faith while acknowledging the dire spiritual state of Israel. It was then that God chose to reveal his presence, not through a display of overwhelming power, such as a raging wind, a thunderous earthquake, or a consuming fire, but through a sound barely audible. This gentle yet profound act served as a potent reminder that God's presence is not always found in the extraordinary or the sensational, but often whispers to us in the stillness and quietude of our life. Overcome with awe and reverence, Elijah, upon hearing the subtle yet unmistakable voice, veiled his face with his cloak and emerged from the cave. Once again, God's voice echoed, prompting Elijah to share his heart's cry. In response to Elijah's unwavering devotion, God imparted fresh instructions, marking a pivotal turning point in his prophetic journey. The Lord instructed Elijah to journey back to the Syrian desert and anoint 3 individuals: Hazael as the future king of Syria, Jehu as the next king of Israel, and Elisha as his own prophetic heir. This directive represented not merely the perpetuation of Elijah's mission, but also God's unwavering commitment to his people and the unfolding of his divine plan for Israel. Furthermore, God revealed a heartening truth to Elijah. A faithful remnant of 7,000 in Israel had steadfastly refused to bow down to Baal. This revelation infused Elijah with renewed hope and solace, assuring him that he was not alone in his unwavering devotion. On Mount Sinai, where Moses had once encountered the divine presence, Elijah underwent a profound transformation through this revelation. he departed not only with clear directives, but also with the unwavering certainty that God's grand purpose extended far beyond his own earthly existence. Emboldened by this newfound clarity, Elijah set out to fulfill the Lord's commands. His initial task was to locate Elisha, son of Shaphat, who was diligently working in the field. With a symbolic gesture, Elijah cast his mantle upon Elisha, signifying the transference of the prophetic calling. Elijah, instantly grasping the profound significance of this act, abandoned his plow and pledged his allegiance to Elijah, marking the dawn of a new chapter in Israel's prophetic history. Demonstrating deep reverence for his family and heritage, Elisha, before embarking on his new path, requested permission from Elijah to bid farewell to his parents. This gesture symbolized not only gratitude, but also the weight of his decision, signifying a complete transition to a life dedicated to God's service. Elijah, recognizing the depth of Elisha's commitment, granted him this request, allowing him to honor his past as he stepped into his divinely ordained future. In a poignant and symbolic act of farewell, Elisha slaughtered the oxen he had been using for plowing and shared a final meal with his family and community, signifying the irrevocable break from his old life and his unwavering embrace of his new identity. The passing of the mantle from Elijah to Elisha transcended a simple encounter. It represented a profound spiritual transformation. By accepting Elijah's cloak, Elisha committed himself to a life dedicated to serving God, a decision that would forever shape his destiny. Meanwhile, in Damascus, Ben-Hadad, the reigning king of Syria, lay gravely ill. Desperate to know his fate, he dispatched Hazael, a trusted servant, bearing lavish gifts to Elisha, seeking a prophetic word from the God of Israel. This seemingly coincidental meeting between Elisha and Hazael was laden with profound implications, setting in motion events that would impact the future of both Syria and Israel. Upon their encounter, Elisha delivered a cryptic message to Hazael: "Go back and say to Ben-Hadad, you will certainly recover." But then he added, "The Lord has revealed to me that he will certainly die." 2 Kings 8:10. This paradoxical statement not only foreshadowed the king's imminent demise, but also hinted at the intricate tapestry of God's plans and the instrumental role Hazael would unwittingly play in them. Overcome with a profound sense of foreboding, Elisha wept openly as he looked upon Hazael. The prophet's vision extended beyond the present, revealing the immense suffering Hazael would inflict upon the Israelites in the days to come. The weight of this foresight moved Elisha deeply, prompting his uncharacteristic display of emotion. Hazael, perplexed by Elijah's sorrowful reaction, struggled to comprehend the full weight of his own future actions. Upon hearing Elisha's prophecy about ascending to the throne, Hazael recoiled, doubting his capacity for such cruelty. Elisha's response, however, was resolute and clear. He was merely a vessel, conveying the immutable decree of God. With a heavy heart and a sense of foreboding, Hazael returned to Ben-Hadad, only to fulfill the prophetic word spoken by Elisha. The king's death, following closely on the heels of Hazael's return, served as a stark confirmation of God's unwavering sovereignty and the absolute certainty of his prophetic pronouncement. The narrative of Elijah and Ahaziah underscores a timeless principle. A student is never greater than his teacher, nor a servant superior to his master. Ahaziah's decision to seek guidance from pagan deities mirrored the idolatrous path of his father, Ahab, revealing a deeply ingrained pattern of disobedience and rebellion that permeated his reign. The stark contrast between Elijah's unwavering faith and the defiance of Ahaziah's messengers underscores the unparalleled authority bestowed upon God's true prophets. Even when confronted by the might of the king's men, Elijah stood unflinchingly firm, his commitment to proclaiming God's word, unwavering in the face of threats and worldly power. As Elijah's earthly journey neared its end, he embarked on a final pilgrimage with Elisha, departing from Gilgal, aware of his impending departure to the heavens. Elijah urged Elisha to remain behind. Yet Elisha, driven by unwavering loyalty and devotion, refused to leave his master's side, knowing intuitively that Elijah's time on earth was drawing to a close. This profound devotion compelled Elijah to accompany Elijah. In Bethel, a group of prophets, privy to Elijah's imminent departure, approached Elisha, inquiring about his decision to follow Elijah. Elisha, acutely aware of the profound event that was about to transpire, requested their silence, demonstrating reverence and tranquility in the face of this deeply sacred moment. Their journey led them to Jericho, where once again the prophets approached Elijah with the same question. With unwavering resolve, Elisha reaffirmed his commitment to remain by Elijah's side until the very end. Upon reaching the Jordan River, Elijah performed an awe-inspiring miracle. Striking the water's surface with his mantle, he caused the river to part, creating a dry passage for both of them to cross. This supernatural act served as a resounding testament to God's limitless power working through his chosen servant. On the opposite bank of the Jordan, Elijah, preparing for his final ascent, inquired of Elijah what he desired as a parting gift. Elisha, yearning to carry forward his master's legacy, requested a double portion of Elijah's spirit. This heartfelt request reflected his deep yearning to serve God with the same unwavering faithfulness and power as his predecessor. Elijah's departure from the earthly realm marked the end of an era and the commencement of Elisha's prophetic ministry. As Elijah ascended to heaven in a whirlwind, enveloped by a chariot of fire drawn by fiery steeds, Elisha watched in awe and sorrow. Following Elijah's dramatic ascension, Elisha tore his own garments in two, a symbolic gesture representing the culmination of his apprenticeship and his solemn acceptance of the mantle of leadership as the foremost prophet in Israel. The miraculous parting of the Jordan, Elijah's breathtaking ascent into heaven, and Elisha's request for a double portion of Elijah's spirit are events imbued with profound symbolism. They signify the continuity of God's work through those he calls and the seamless transference of spiritual authority from one generation to the next. After witnessing Elijah's ascent, Elisha returned alone, carrying his master's mantle, a tangible symbol of the prophetic calling he now embodied. Elisha's ability to replicate Elijah's miracle at the Jordan, parting the waters by striking them with the mantle, demonstrated that the spirit of Elijah rested upon him. It was a clear sign that Elijah's prophetic mission would continue through his devoted disciple. In Jericho, the sons of the prophets immediately recognized Elisha's newly acquired spiritual authority, approaching him with deference and respect. Their acknowledgement confirmed that the Spirit of God, which had so powerfully rested upon Elijah, was now at work in. This marked the formal commencement of Elisha's ministry as the new leader and voice of God among the people of Israel. Although widely recognized as Elijah's rightful successor, some still questioned Elijah's ultimate fate. When the prophets requested permission to search for Elijah, Elisha, though aware of the futility, eventually yielded to their request. Their search, as Elisha knew it would, proved fruitless, confirming that Elijah had indeed ascended into heaven. Years later, Elijah's prophecy concerning the fate of Ahab's dynasty reached its fulfillment during Jehu's reign. Jehu, citing Elijah's pronouncements, embarked on a mission to dismantle Ahab's corrupt lineage completely. His actions, a direct fulfillment of God's judgment, brought about the downfall of Ahab's entire house. The lives of both Elijah and Elisha serve as compelling testaments to God's unwavering loyalty to his servants and his chosen people. Their stories remind us that even amidst life's inevitable trials and uncertainties, we can remain confident that God is actively at work, both in us and through us, to accomplish His divine purposes. They beckon us to embrace a life characterized by obedience, selfless service, and unwavering faith, assuring us that our efforts in His service are never futile. Ultimately, we are promised we will witness His resplendent glory and boundless. Consequently, the narratives of Elijah and Elisha are far more than ancient tales of faith and miraculous interventions. They offer us timeless wisdom and principles that remain acutely relevant to our spiritual journeys today. Each account, each instance of supernatural power, and each hardship endured by these prophets provide valuable insights, allowing us to examine our own walks of faith. Through their experiences, we gain wisdom and grow in our understanding of God's character. One of the most powerful lessons we glean from their lives is the transformative power of prayer and complete reliance on God. Both Elijah and Elisha exemplified a life lived in constant communion with God, diligently seeking His guidance and direction in every aspect of their life. It was this intimate connection with the Creator that empowered them to act with boldness and unwavering confidence, even when facing seemingly insurmountable challenges. Their example serves as a powerful reminder that true effectiveness and lasting purpose in life are found not in our own limited strength and abilities, but in surrendering to God's boundless power. Furthermore, the narratives of these prophets underscore the critical importance of moral and spiritual fortitude. During an era when authentic faith was relentlessly besieged by the allure of idolatry and the pervasiveness of injustice, Elijah and Elisha remained steadfast in their allegiance to God. They courageously challenged the corrupt authorities and spiritual strongholds of their day. Their unwavering stand serves as a timeless inspiration, urging us to be unyielding advocates for truth and righteousness, to live lives that honor God. The legacy of mentorship and spiritual discipleship is another vital theme woven throughout their stories. The transmission of wisdom, practical knowledge, and lived experiences is indispensable for the growth and strength of the Christian community. Just as Elijah diligently prepared Elisha to carry the mantle of prophetic ministry, we too are commanded to invest in those around us, generously sharing the transformative power of the gospel and the practical lessons learned in our own faith journey. By doing so, we participate in building up the body of Christ, ensuring that His message of hope and redemption continues to resonate throughout generations. The lives of these extraordinary prophets offer profound insights into God's absolute sovereignty and providential care. Through their triumphs and their trials, we witness God's hand orchestrating events to align with His perfect will and achieve His divine purposes. They remind us that despite appearances, God is firmly in control, working tirelessly behind the scenes for the good of those who love Him and have aligned their lives with His calling. While Elijah and Elisha served as God's instruments during their lifetime, their impact transcends the boundaries of time. Their stories continue to resonate with believers today, urging us to embrace a life characterized by unshakable faith, unwavering courage, resolute commitment, and complete dependence on God. They invite us to shift our perspective from our immediate circumstances and fix our gaze on God's overarching sovereignty, discovering in Him an inexhaustible wellspring of hope, strength, and ultimate purpose. May their exemplary lives serve as guiding lights, illuminating our paths and leading us into a deeper, more fulfilling relationship with the eternal God who remains unchanging yesterday, today, and forevermore. The lives of Elijah and Elisha invite us to embark on a journey of profound introspection and spiritual growth. Their narratives provide more than just accounts of extraordinary events and miraculous intervention. They offer a glimpse into the hearts of individuals who, despite their human frailties and struggles, passionately sought to align their lives with God's will. This relentless pursuit of holiness and unwavering obedience, even in the face of hardship, challenges us to critically evaluate the depth of our own faith and our willingness to follow wherever God leads. The importance of persistent, heartfelt prayer is another vital lesson gleaned from their lives. Elijah, in particular, exemplifies the power of unwavering, fervent prayer. His plea for rain to end the drought was not a casual request, but a testament to his steadfast faith. He remained committed to interceding on behalf of his people, clinging to God's promises, even when faced with overwhelming odds. Elijah reminds us that the effectiveness of our prayers hinges not on eloquence or the repetition of empty phrases, but on the depth of our faith and the sincerity of our hearts. Humility emerges as a radiant quality in the lives of both prophets. Despite being conduits for God's awe, inspiring miracles, Elijah and Elisha never sought personal recognition or accolades. They consistently deflected praise, pointing instead to God's supreme power and majesty. In our self-promoting culture, their example is a powerful exhortation to cultivate genuine humility, consistently acknowledging that every blessing, every gift, every blessing, every breath originates from God, the Father of lights. Perhaps the most comforting truth woven throughout their stories is the unwavering faithfulness of God. Through every adversity, unmet need, and moment of paralyzing despair, God's faithfulness remained constant. This faithfulness extended beyond mere provision and protection. It manifested as gentle guidance, loving correction, and unwavering support. As we navigate the complexities and hardships of life, the stories of Elijah and Elisha offer a bedrock of assurance. They remind us that we can place our full confidence in a God whose faithfulness never fails, a God who has promised to never leave us nor forsake us. If these insights into the lives of Elijah and Elisha have resonated with you, we invite you to partner with us by subscribing to our channel. By subscribing, you ensure that you won't miss future videos and will be part of a growing community dedicated to exploring God's Word and applying its timeless truths to our lives. Thank you for joining us, and may God richly bless you.